senators and those fucking rhinos are waiting for him to leave because then they hope that we die off, and we can't let that happen. I don't think it will. I think that we are stronger than ever. I think that we're in the best position ever. I don't think that Donald Trump is ever going to do it. It is definitely us who has to do it, and we have to survive to be able to achieve it.
Yeah, do you know what the punishments are?
Like 10 years ago. Well, like think about 10 years ago. Did you trust the government at all? Maybe 12, 15 years ago, I should say. You know, you didn't trust the government. You didn't trust anything they were saying. Like voting, most people didn't even get out to vote. For some reason, Donald Trump polarized our specific base, this specific group of people, to say, you know what, we're getting involved. And we got involved. We made a coordinated effort. I mean, it's the most powerful group of people I've ever seen in the world. God bless us.
Well, I lost all credibility in the government when Barack Hussein Barry Soetoro Obama became president. That's when I realized that we have traitors in this country. We have liars. We have thieves. We have the most despicable people.
Phone. Keep Obama in president. Thank you.
Yeah, that's when I knew that we were really had very weak and fraudulent leadership and deceptive, possibly covert espionage in our midst where it wasn't authentic and genuine. Obama really put a fucking sour candy
Obama's
in
goal
the
was to fundamentally reshape America.
Well, to be honest, we had a defeatist mindset under Obama. We actually thought that it was over, that we had lost. Nobody thought, we're going to come back and fight this. Everybody thought, this is it, we fucking lost. And for some reason, Donald Trump came along and we decided we didn't lose, we're still in this fight. And we've kept it going. We're in 2025, heading 2026. It's amazing shit. You know, if it wasn't for Donald Trump in that polarized moment to unite this group of people together, then, and as bad as he is now with the Epstein list or whatever the hell you might have disagreement or agreement with him on, we are still organized. And because that, we survived. If we didn't, we would have just been defeated. Again, we were in a defeatist mindset 2008, 2009, 2010, 2011, 2012. We thought it was over. The game was won. The shadow government is in control. And we came back, and it's inspired a new morale boost that has never existed before. It's amazing.
Well, the morale, I think, is there. I mean, it's well organized, but it still seems like a minority based on the numbers. But the amazing thing about minorities and majorities and how they interact together is that there is a union, seen and unseen, you know, between. This is like what the Tao is. I don't know if you've ever read the Tao Te Ching, but it's a very political book. And I think the Democrats, you know, have essentially, the Democrat industrial complex is vast and huge, and it's not going away. So the problem is within the Republican Party is it's actually just a bunch of Democrats pretending to be what they call Republicans, which is the opposite of a Democrat. And unfortunately, there's not a lot of opposites in the Republican Party. They're mostly just sellouts who passively work with the Democrats in terms of budgets and spending allocation. And so, I don't know, it's a good time right now. They just cut three major funds, PBS, USAID, and I can't remember the third agency that got cut. But
well, you're talking about them being a unified party. If you look up the International Democratic Party, you'll find that both of our systems, Republican and Democrats, are part of the International Democratic Party. They are the same party under the International Democratic Party, which is headed in Germany. A bunch of parties are part of it. Labor's part of it. But both the Republicans and the Democrats in our Congress are part of the International Democratic Party.
Yeah, that seems weird. I didn't know about that.
Crazy shit. I know. I teach people a lot of things. I find information. I'm not sure why. But yeah, International Democratic Party is the name.
What's weird?
I found it weird when I found that Ronald Reagan was part of it. And I was like, what the fuck? And that's when I found all the Republicans that were on the list. And it's like, so we're all part of this international party. I don't understand what the fuck this is. And it's headed in Germany.
Nothing wrong with that.
I don't know.
That's fine. Nothing wrong with that.
well, the cool
No, neither of them are fine. Not at all.
well, let me ask you this question. A lot of people think the Constitution was written in 1776. My point is, if the now is all important and the now is all there's ever been, the Constitution wasn't written in 1776. It's written now. So if you do want the magic power of America in your back pocket, I would encourage everybody to get a pocket-sized Constitution.
Don't you know the everlasting wow is happening right now?
Oh.
Yeah. The eternal wow is now.
I do like that saying that you said. It wasn't written in 1776, it's written now. It is a document. It exists now. It changes now.
Yeah, it's kind of funny if you read the Constitution. There's so many holy words in it that it does actually seem like a mystical document.
It is mystical. It reminds me of a Roman document. I really, when I envision our republic, and there's a reason I use those words. You know, when I talk about the republic and we are citizens, I'm trying to invoke an image of Rome because we're very similar to that in that importance of what a citizen was.
Yeah, I read the Declaration of Independence on
Hello.
July 4th. And the thing about Sam Adams, Thomas Jefferson, George Washington, like that history is now. And so this is the craziest thing. But when you listen to these liberal Democrat Marxists on this app, they never talk about any of these things. They're not interested in Washington or what the actual virtue, morals, ethics, wisdom is of the founders or what wisdom even is. So if you are interested in wisdom, you have a serious linguistic one up on all of these insane people on this app or even in generalized politics who aren't interested in wisdom. And to me, the more you study wisdom, the better of a politician you will become.
Yeah, a lot of them, they see George Washington as like a caricature, a cartoon character. He's not. He's the most important founding father that we have, and I hold him up in a reverence almost of like a holy position when it comes to the republic. He is the first Caesar. He's the one that was offered the crown of America and said no thank you. The one that said we shouldn't have alliances that last forever. The one that said that political parties are evil. The only independent president to ever hold the office, George Washington.
So
That's right. I'm a George Washington fan. You can tell by the way I talk about it.
these are some Bible passages. This is Joshua 1:9. It says, "Be strong and courageous. Do not be frightened, and do not be dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go."
That would be big if true.
See, this is neurolinguistic programming, and whether you think it's true or not, it still impacts your brain. This is Romans 12:2. It says, "Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God." So I think the more wisdom you have, the greater your will. And your willpower or your power of will, or what's the Nietzschean expression? Will to power, right?
Will to power.
Yeah. So if God is power, the more you study God, the greater your political power. That's my opinion.
Yeah, even though I may be Jewish, I do believe that the most holy act that you can do on earth in serving the God is to enact yourself as a political power, to run for office, to vote, to do those things. It's his world. He wants you involved in it, and I do believe as a Republican that that's what that connects to. That's the reason why you need to use that power, and that's what it means when God is with you. As long as you are part of the government and helping run it, then there's guidance that you will receive. Get a little religious there, but it's amazing stuff. And that's not Jewish at all, what I just said. I don't know. I call it republicanism. It's almost a faith I have. So it's like a paladin type faith. It's not a religion.
There is a book that kind of like got me. I don't know. It was one of the first books that was given to me in university when I started studying political science. It's called Republicanism from Philippe Petit. It was a very, very good book. I actually have it still here with me. That one plus the Austrian School of Economics have become like my Bible for philosophy.
Yes, the book you just named, Republicanism. I forget the name that you just said there.
Philippe Petit.
That's the one that convinced me that the Republic itself is like a holy structure. There's nothing more connected to God, at least in this sense of duty that you have as a Republic. It didn't make a religious sense, but
you're sounding just like a neocon, like all the religious crazy, and none of
no, you have to disconnect the religious
You're
part.
sounding a little gay.
You have to disconnect the religious part. God. It's not an actual God. It's not an actual.
Jesus Christ, James, breathe. None of these guys were religious, is what I wanted to say. And there is no religion in any of these philosophies.
Yes, I'm agreeing with what you said there. I'm not saying that is what they have argued. What I'm saying is that serving a church, doing this, doing that, charity, doesn't do the same thing as organizing a government that helps protect from the barbarians on the outside, that helps ensure
He's
trade
saying
routes and traded.
they weren't religious, but we should form a religion based upon worshiping
No, I'm
them.
saying that it is more real than any religion. That this is a concrete physical structure that exists and that you should be part of and take care of because it's real. Not because it's some religious thing. Remove all religion that you have. In fact, religion is somewhat in the way, if I'm going to be real.
No, you want to make something dogmatic, something that should be completely organic. I mean, like economics. Economics happens completely organically in voluntary transactions amongst individuals, and that is the most moral thing, to allow people to choose what to do with their I don't know, possessions, their capital, and whether they are right or wrong, allow them to make mistakes. That's what the free markets are.
Let me just
So
quote.
there is no like a formula for these things to work. It's just allowing all the pieces of the puzzle to fall into
There
place
is
by
a
themselves.
formula. It's the profit formula. Okay, let me quote the book of James. This is 3:17. James left, but this is what it says in the book of James. It says, "The wisdom from above." Yeah, you don't like the Bible, Issa? This is English training for you. This is
I
called
do.
wisdom. Well, I hope your date with the lawyer goes well. This is what the book of James says. The wisdom from above is first pure, then peaceable, gentle, open to reason, full of mercy and good fruits, impartial and sincere, and a harvest of righteousness is sown in peace by those who make peace.
That's a lot of wisdom.
Yeah, that's what you don't hear on this app. You just hear birds running their mouth, chirping.
And you're listening to all of these birds. And you're spamming all other platforms with our chirping.
Yep. There's no point in listening to spam unless I can redistribute spam.
I am pointlessly consuming spam.
Can you imagine people go to the dollar store and buy cans of spam?
Yeah, you just have a phone and that's
I've never
your kind
eaten
of
spam.
So, Issa, what I'm telling you is if you want to stand a chance with this lawyer, don't go over there and tell him all about your policies and your ideas, opinions, concepts. That relationship will not become fruitful because you're not basing that relationship on peace.
I can never talk really with my immediate friends or my immediate circle about politics because they differ all from me. Like the other day, I went with this friend to a match, and she was, I don't know, because it was also the final of the match in the USA, and we had friends that were there. And she was mentioning that Trump was in that match, and I made a comment about Trump, and she got offended, and she's like, "Oh, can we please just change the topic? I wouldn't like to talk about Trump." And it's like, yeah, I cannot express my thoughts, with my immediate.
Wait, because that they are so triggered?
Because she hates Trump.
She hates Trump so much she can't even be reminded that he exists.
She rejected a job in the U.S. for one of the leagues because Trump is right now president. And
oh my God!
"Quote unquote." Oh my God!
What a shame! Oh my God!
Finish what I'm saying. And she feels unsafe in moving to the U.S. under Trump. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, so it's Voldemort. You can't say his name near somebody.
Yeah. Well, so yeah, that's the case. So I have sometimes I have friends over, like for drinks or dinner or whatever, and I have these very big bookshelf, and a lot of these, some of these books, I have like 4 or 5 books that are about Trump, and some others on politics. I love politics and I love philosophy. And all of them are, of course, not woke because they are talking about communism and how bad is communism and the war on the West and I don't know, the famines in China. And I have like 4 books on Trump. And I don't know. And they come to my bookshelf and are like, "Oh, these books you have." And when they see that I have Trump books, they go like, wow, you can see their face, you know, and they don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, my favorite
That's
thing is
very
walking
sad.
around in public with my MAGA hat. I've never had a greater experience than somebody going, I've never seen one in real life. It was hilarious.
Yeah,
They look horrifying.
that was the case with a friend of mine. So she came to she was moving to Zurich, and so she crashed at my place for like, I don't know, a week or so while she was looking for her apartment, and that's what she did. And we were in Japan about a year ago, and she was there because she's not the one that is my friend. It's the boyfriend is my friend, but of course I get along very well with the boyfriend. I was helping her. But we were in Japan, and there was this other guy, also from our friend group, who loves Trump. And I loved being like all the time with him, you know, because I could actually speak about these things. But when Stefan and I would talk about these things, like they would be like, oh, yeah, let's not talk about politics, or let's talk about something else. And she would feel, I think that when she met me at first, she would look scared, you know, of my ideas. Then we became friends. She saw I was not evil or anything. But it's just like how brainwashed these ideologies.
Isa,
make
can
you.
I know you've been talking about this all day, but can you give me your take on the Epstein thing?
So
Like,
I
do
don't
you
know.
think he was part of Mossad?
So hold on. I don't
Hold
know.
on.
I think that there are a lot of assumptions, and you cannot really like clearly put pieces together. Of course, I think it is very fishy and very like suspicious, all of it. I was listening yesterday to the commentary of this guy Mike, I think it is Benz. He was talking with Charlie Kirk, and I did like what he said. He was saying that he was not directly an intelligence asset, meaning that he was passing through intelligence to the CIA and the Mossad or whatever, although they might have been using him as a financier. And so the role of this type of financier, which is the profile that Epstein has, is that so these intelligence agencies, they don't directly fund let's say operations or research or investigations or intelligence that it's in their interest, you know, that they don't fund them directly. So they look for people that have got the means, that are wealthy, and that are willing to put their money, you know, like for example in universities or in other NGOs, so that they're funding these initiatives where they can gather intelligence. And what he was saying is that Epstein was working more like this in getting the people together, that because he had a very good network and like financing this stuff that the agencies had interest in, and that was his role. And he made also a good point that if he had been the one trying to blackmail people, I mean, how quick do you think that would have been dissolved? You know, like people that know he's blackmailing others are not going to keep hanging out with him. You know, so I think that there are pieces that don't match. And yeah, I'm not saying he was not a pedophile. I'm not saying that the island wasn't there. I'm not saying necessarily that Mossad and MI6 and CIA and all of these were not involved, but maybe not in the way that we think, like using him. I don't think he was an intelligence agent. And another thing, just the last thing that goes in my mind is like, you know how when they catch like a narco and they bring him to, I don't know, let's say the CIA, and then they offer them a deal if they help them with intelligence to bring down like the whole network. I think that is what might have been the case also with Epstein. Like he was doing his dirty stuff and he was caught and they got stuff on him, and then they were using his activities in order to gather both, I don't know, like knowledge and intelligence on other people, but also on the financial stuff. I don't know. I think it's much, in a way, it's much more complex and more simple at the same time, that all these conspiracy theories that people are trying to put together. you look at the relationship, for example, he had with Israel, he was not receiving money from Israel. He was, in any case, he was funneling money into the guy's campaign, the guy that was prime minister before Netanyahu. So he had interests in Israel just like any other Jew, of like having influence or whatever, and he was financing and helping this guy with his campaign politically. But the money was flowing from Epstein to him, not the other way around. But I don't know, like, of course there are a lot of stuff that are being hidden. It's still fishy. There is some cover up, but I don't want to assume or to be so certain, of or
Yeah.
I know
Thank you for that.
like everybody else is doing.
I think the people who are convinced that Jeffrey Epstein was a Mossad agent and they're like, they know for a fucking fact.
Yeah.
I think those people are stupid.
Like Tucker and Candace Owens, they are both going completely crazy, like completely asserting that they know he was Mossad, whatever. Yeah, he might have had some connections. Well, he was a Jew. I mean, like Ghislaine Maxwell is Jewish, and her dad allegedly was part of Mossad as well. He's suspected to have been part of Mossad. So yeah, of course you will have contacts with Mossad, but maybe not necessarily consciously or like too evident. I don't know.
Well, if you
But
mention the MI6 connection with Epstein to those exact same people, they're just disregarding that completely. They don't care if Prince Andrew was there on the island. They don't care that he had extensive network connections in the UK and a little place right down the street from the Prime Minister. Like, they don't care about that stuff. They just care that he had the last name Epstein, so he had to be Mossad. It's like, why would he be Mossad meeting with the Prince of England? He seems more MI6 connected than anything.
Yeah, as I was saying, he was a financier, or however you pronounce that word, and he used to be a connector, and making the money flow. But yeah, I mean, I don't think we will ever know. But honestly, I don't think it is as dark as the worst conspiracy theories that they're putting out there. And I just see that a lot of people are taking advantage of the fact that he was a Jew and just using that as like, oh yeah, well, you see, it's again the Jews, and the Jews are spying on us, and the Jews are pedophiles. And I think that's just very lazy reasoning. So yeah, that was a very long answer for your question, my friend. But that's what I think.
Thank you.
I don't
I
really
enjoy
think
hearing your
anything.
opinion.
Yeah, I don't really think anything. I'm not fixed in a theory, just observing how it evolves. But yeah. Also, another weird thing is that girl that died, well, the woman that died, that was allegedly the victim of his. So she also complained about other people. One of them is this Dershowitz or whatever, however his name is pronounced. The guy that was the lawyer of Epstein, or was it another guy?
Yeah.
Alan Dershowitz,
But
that's
he was,
Trump lawyer.
Yeah, but he was being brought. He was brought to court, and they went. I mean, they sued her and whatever, and they
You know
won.
what his statement is on that accusation? His statement is, "I wore shorts the entire time for that massage." That's his statement. He said he basically admits that he was there. He got the massage. The girl gave it to him, but he wore shorts and they never had sex. And it's like bullshit, bull fucking shit, dude. You got naked for that girl. You're like, if you got the massage, I know you went full fucking force. I know that you did the whole thing. There's nobody else who got the massage. The massage is the key fucking part of the molestation.
Yeah, I
It's
don't
not
know.
a massage.
There are. I mean, didn't that guy win the case?
He was given immunity at the end of the Epstein trial in 2008, 2009, whenever it was. So him and a bunch of other people were given legal immunity. Not like their names were cleared. They were literally given explicitly immunity to these exact crimes they were accused of. For whatever reason. Never before done, but they got it.
But Megyn Kelly, well, she has done a lot of research on this, and she also talks about this, and she says that apparently, like, this lady was very shady in the version of her things, that a lot of things didn't match. And she was actually kind of like trying to get people involved, and she might not have been all that sane, you know, in her head. So I don't know. In the end, it's all like what she said against what he said. And of course, it's
I don't know. He admitted to getting down. He admitted to the massage itself and said his excuse was, I was in my shorts the whole time. I just call total bullshit. I call total bullshit. That's the worst excuse I've ever heard.
I think
That's like Obama. I smoked the joint, but I didn't inhale. Like, bullshit. We know you inhaled. Who the fuck doesn't inhale it?
And I think also, if they don't have anything, they should show you know, the evidence that they don't have anything. And it's not like, I mean, like, how do you do that? Well, releasing whatever it is that they have, of course, protecting victims and not showing porn videos or whatever. But I am sure that there is documentations and there are reports and there are things that can show, yeah, listen, this didn't take us anywhere.
Well, the worst excuse I've heard from him is that if we expose the list, then it would take down banks, and it would take down governments, and it would take down Republicans and Democrats. And it's just, that's the worst excuse I can think of, is like, oh, these powerful pedophiles are needed for our society to function, so we can't do anything. I call bullshit. I just say that's fucking bullshit.
Yeah, but you also need to be open to the possibility that the narrative has been driven, you know, and built, and that there actually the story might not unfold the way you were expecting.
I don't know. I also heard people saying stuff like that, like, oh, trust the plan, we're doing something larger. And it's just like these pre-scripted excuses don't do anything for me. I've heard it about 40, 50 times now, and they're not changing my mind. I do not believe in the idea of move on.
If anything, no, I'm not saying move on. I'm saying that the story might, if they reveal the stuff, it might not unfold as you were expecting. Now, I think that the administration, the way that they have handled this has been very problematic, and Meyer was saying it earlier as well, that Pam Bondi has demonstrated a lot of incompetence in how she has managed this, you know, and like the way that she was creating a lot of expectation without even knowing if it's true what she says, without even knowing what were on those files. And so I do believe that she needs to go. She needs to get fired if they want to gain trust again, because I don't think the people will keep trusting the DOJ if she keeps in charge. Now, it might as well be that when they release the stuff, that there will be things that you thought it was gonna get bigger, and it actually isn't. So I am open to the possibility that this is not as big as we were imagining, but it might be, you know. Now, I also don't believe that in full disclosure, you know, and full transparency, because the government can never be full transparent, you know, with you. That's the reason for the existence of intelligence agencies and all this stuff. But, yeah, I mean, like, that's my take. I think that they have handled these very poorly. I think that Pam Bondi has been very incompetent. She has not done a good job. And, yeah, I think she should be fired.
So I just want to say, you know, you said it's not going to be as big as we think it is. I want to remind you that in the initial case of the videos that they did review, which they did have videos, they've already said it, that they identified over 1,000 different victims that were part of this scandal. 1,000 different girls between the ages of 12 and 17 that were molested in this manner by this man, by clients, other people that they said were in videos. The police officers of Florida said that they reviewed these things. The ones that you have to remember, it wasn't feds that got it. It was regular cops. Somebody's mom called the regular cops, 911, and said, hey, my kid was molested. And they did an investigation, went out there to the island on their boats and busted his ass. And that was covered up then by the feds and by the state attorney general of Florida at the time. Over 1,000 different victims. So I do not think that it's going to be smaller. I think it's going to be massive. I don't know where Pam Bondi was at that time. I'll have to look it up.
Yeah, it was at that time. She was the general prosecutor or whatever it is, general attorney of Florida back in the day. That's also another one of the controversies. It's like, okay, she was aware of all of this, and now she's the general attorney or whatever in the U.S., and she's hiding it. I mean, like, why is she doing that? And was she aware of anything before?
Yeah, you look to be correct. In 2011, she was the Attorney General.
Yeah, she was.
And now all of a sudden she's the... yeah, it's not fucking good. We have the person who gave the guy immunity saying there's no list. It's the worst possible outcome I can think of.
That's why I'm telling you, like, she needs to go. I don't know what her reasons are, and whether she's following, I don't know, instructions or the law or whatever, but everything is very fishy, and everything is, like, being managed by her. She hasn't been able to manage expectations. She hasn't been able to communicate. She hasn't been able to do a good job. It's lame. And I would put there Judge Janine.
Yeah, I had to look it up. Pam Bondi did not head the prosecution in Florida of Jeffrey Epstein. For some reason, she just decided not to. The state police took that case to the feds instead of New York and federal court in Florida, and went over her head and got the prosecution that we saw land him in jail, where he ultimately killed himself. So it does appear that Pam Bondi was directly involved in the protection of this fucking pedophile, 100%. Not just the pedophile network, this specific pedophile, Jeffrey Epstein.
My question is, like, Maxwell's family just put in a lawsuit civilly for, like, produce the writ of habeas corpus, produce the body. If there is no list, then why the fuck is she in jail?
Well, she was convicted of sex trafficking. She's on some of the videotapes. But then the question comes: is
what videotape? I've never seen the videotape.
You're not going to see videotapes of it. It's of them exploiting children.
Really, because it never got put in. It never got put into evidence in the court case.
No, in 2015 there is evidence of videotapes. The police officers said they reviewed tapes.
Yeah, I'd like to see the videotapes.
Yeah,
That sounds like a very titillating videotape. I'd like to see it.
You're not going to see it. It's exploitation.
I'd like to see
It's
it.
against the law for you to watch something like
I'd
that.
enjoy watching it.
That's sick. You're sick.
I'm just joking. I'm just joking.
Hey, me too. But the ideology is, if there is such evidence, then why is it not even, like, transcribed in letters about what the tapes are saying?
That's where they identified 1,000 victims from, is these tapes. The Florida State Troopers that took over the case and reviewed it once they invaded his island.
Why was that never introduced into Maxine?
Oh, yeah, I'm not sure why it's not that. You're right.
There's like, Jesus Christ, you can't help yourself, can you?
You talk a little slow,
You
Paul.
cannot help yourself.
Is he in hell? That damn ellipses.
But you're right. There's no tapes that were entered in Maxine's case. She specifically pled guilty herself. He was accused. There was no need for evidentiary evidence to be entered.
Well, good day, gentlemen. Goodbye, Higginbottom.
You don't understand what the writ of habeas corpus means.
But you young jackanapes.
Let me look it up real quick.
It means produce the body. If there is no evidence of a victim, there is no crime.
Oh, well, that doesn't matter. Again, they didn't have to present it. They presented her charges, and she pled guilty in a plea deal. She accepted the plea deal. Before they... If she went to trial, then they would have presented evidence that would be in the court case. She did that to avoid the evidence being submitted. That's a known way that they do that in bargaining.
What was brought at trial at discovery?
There was no trial. She did a plea deal.
No, it went to